I'm going to show you how we can make an animated character like this man right here. All right, let me press play. And then I can walk around, turn, and walk. The first thing I'm going to do is use MagicaVoxel to make the character. So I like turning these things on so I see a grid, and then I could clear it. And I'm going to start off with a 100 by 100. So when I make my character, I'm going to turn symmetry on the x-axis. And let's see. I guess these could be the feet. Let me get zoomed in a little. So I hold down the wheel to move up and down. I hold down the right mouse button to rotate. And then after I put those feet there, I could use F and raise them up from the ground a little bit. Just get perspective. And now I'll put some pants. I'll pick a color and I'll go to V for voxel, and I'll use cube in 2D, and I'll just make this a little bit bigger, like 8, or even bigger, like 12. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is I'm just adding on the pants, and then again I use face to raise up for the legs, and I want to just make sure I don't raise the legs too high. I gotta leave the space for the rest of the body. Okay, and I gotta bring the legs together. So let's see. I'll do a 3D cube here. And here to bring his legs together. All right, if it doesn't look perfect, it's all right. We can work on it. I have symmetry on the x-axis. Okay, so that could be where his legs come together. And now for a shirt. Let's see, what color should a shirt be? Green. So I could just raise up from here for the shirt, and I gotta leave enough space for his head. And then there's the neck of the shirt. Go back to 2D. Let's see, that could be the neck of the shirt, and F to raise it as high as I want. Okay, now we gotta put some arms on the side. So we're gonna have to make our character in what's called a T pose. That means the arms are sticking straight out. So I will use arms right here, and let's see, size, just do 10. Okay, once I got a outline, then I could just pull them out. How far? About there. I'm gonna leave a little bit of space for some hands to go on there. My guy's he's kind of wide. And now for the hands. So let me pick a skin tone there. And I could go back to the cube, and could I use a 3D cube maybe? Yep, maybe I could use a 3D cube. Maybe I'll make his hands a little bit bigger than the rest. Big blocky hands. Okay, yep, you see we went right to the edge there. And then a neck. Maybe like, that's a big neck. It is a big neck. My guy had a pretty big neck, but let's see, let's do 2D. Put that there, and then face, raise it up a little, and then make a head. So go back to V, 3D, bigger, need a bigger head than 12. Let's try 20, enter. And that head looks better. that head looks like a better size. So I give that. And then I use paint and the color white. And I could go to 2D again and make the eyeballs. Some pretty big eyeballs. Let's make it a 6. Alright, so his eyes could be square or they could be round. Now when they're round, they look too small. So 7. Give him 2 eyeballs. Then give it pupils in the middle. Let's have him dark brown eyes. Oop. Now I can make it a little smaller, like 4. Okay, and he's just looking. Alright, and if we want to give him a mouth, I guess we could. I'll go back to cube. He's like, oh, he's going, oh my gosh. Alright, so basically I kind of have a character here. I think I'm going to make his feet come out a little bit more. So let me just use the face and scroll down here. And the color is darker. Oh, you know why? Because I just did paint. I gotta do attach. And I'll drag out his feet a little bit more that way. And a little bit more on the side. Yeah. Alright, so I kind of like it. I mean, you know, you can keep working on making a better one. So here's my model. And I'm just going to save him. I'm going to call him Amazing Man. Amazing Man. Ta-da! And the Amazing Man is almost ready for MagicaVox. I mean, for Mixamo. That's the program that's going to do the animations. But Mixamo likes to have, it's going to be easier to animate if he doesn't have like solid stick legs. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to etch. I'll have to do erase with the line tool, and I'm just going to kind of etch out where his knees would kind of be. Let me zoom in better. That's the mouse wheel pressing in to move it around like that. Then I hold the right mouse button to scroll around. I scroll the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. But what I want to do is, okay, that one's messed up. Undo. Just want to kind of cut a line of pixels down the middle for the knee joint. Okay. And then I will cut a line of pixels for the foot, for the ankle joint. These are places where I'm expecting that he's gonna bend. And then I'll cut a line over here for the toes. Just cutting a line indent. It's kind of hard to see when the color is black, but do you see it? And then I'm going to cut a line over here at the waist. Go all the way around. So remember I got mirror X on, so whatever happens on one side happens on the other side. And okay, that's the legs and the feet. Now for the arms, I want to cut a line for where the elbow is going to be. On the top. And the back over here. And underneath. Get in a little closer. Okay. There. And a line for where the shoulders are. Okay. And what else? Oh, his wrists, where his hands are. And just cut a line there. Oops. There. There. Okay. Da 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 da. And let me cut a line for his neck. and in the back. Now I didn't add any hair, but I guess let's add some hair before we're done here. And let's say his hair is, what color, guys? Green? All right, yeah, I knew green was the color. And I say paint, and I'm going to use the voxel tool in 2D, and yeah, then I could just paint some hair on here. He could be bald. He's getting a bald hair in the middle. And back here, Okay, he's not going to be bald. He's not going to be bald. Let's give him hair all over his whole head. All right, there. There's the guy. Let me save him again. All right, so this is the model, and when I press save over here, this just saves a file for MagicaVoxel to open it. What I have to do is do an export as an OBJ in order for me to open it in Unity or Mixamo. So I'm going to export it as an OBJ to my desktop, and I'm going to put it in a folder called Amazing Man, because there's more than one file when I export as an OBJ. And then I say save. So now we have the man made. I can close MagicaVoxel. Here's the folder Amazing Man, and I'll show you that what's in it are 3 files. So of the 3 files, we're going to upload these to Mixamo, and we're going to have to zip them together. So I select them all, and I have 7-zip to zip stuff, but otherwise you could say send to compress zipped folder, and that'll be the 3 files. I'm going to upload the zip to Mixamo. So let's bring Mixamo over here. I'm getting my browser. All right, and Mixamo's at mixamo.com, and you do have to have an account. It doesn't cost money. You just have to have an email address, and you can sign up for an account. And I'm signed in, and now I want to go to characters, and I want to, yeah, we made a character, yes, but there are some characters here, but we made a character just so we could be original. So now that I have my character exported in these 3 files and I made a zip file, I'm going to press upload character, and as you can see, it takes FBX, OBJ, or zip. So I kind of zipped my 3 files together because the OBJ would not have any color. I needed the material file and the PNG file. I put a zip file. It takes zip files. I'm going to drag and drop it right here. And it takes just a moment for it to, there's my guy. Okay. And he looks right, and he has the colors on him. Good. So let me close that. Now I'm going to say next in the Mixamo window. And now here's the part where I'm going to tell Mixamo where all the joints are, like the chin. And you can see in that top right corner, it has a zoom in so I could really see and place my X perfectly. Then the wrists. And elbows. Ooh. And the knees. It's right there where I drew those lines. So the growing. Put it right there. As a matter of fact, this is the chin, so I want to put it up here, right? Not down there on the neck. The chin's up here on his face. All right. So now I could say next, and it's going to take a minute as Mixamo processes. There we go. And well, look at that. Right away, my model comes to life because it's moving. The thing I just made in MagicaVoxel. I think that's so cool. I say next. So now that I have my model, and Mixamo website put some bones in there, he has positions that he's moving in and standing in. So in the animation, we had 2 different animations that he had. He had standing still, which is called idle. So I'm going to look up some idle animations here on Mixamo. And I guess I got to go to the animations part. And as you can see here, there's different ones. Here, happy idle. He's a happy guy. La 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 la. So I have this animation. Now, what I picked to do is oh, you know what? I download the animation, and I have to make sure that I pick FBX for Unity, because you see here there's three choices. FBX for Unity, because I'm going to import this into Unity, and I'm going to do it with the skin, with the model. And then I say download. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on my desktop again in my Amazing Man folder where I had the other files, and this is Amazing Man Happy. So I'm going to save that. That's one animation. And the other animation I want to have is either running or walking. But let's try looking up some walks. All right. This walk has kind of funny hand position. This walk's like kind of standing upright and walking, or kind of a curvy hip walk. This looks like he's injured. Oh yeah, he's injured. His leg's hurting. And what else we got? Like he's drunk. Nah. Let's just go with this guy. Walking, head straight up. Now there's a thing here where the animation could be, you see it's moving on the grid, or we could say in place. I'm going to pick the in place animation because in Unity, I'm going to control his movement. And I'm going to download this one. Okay. FBX for Unity with the skin, download. And yeah, I'm going to put it in my desktop Amazing Man folder. Here we go. Now I have two animations, one where he's standing and one where he is walking. But there's just one more thing I want to do. I want to go back to the character. And here he is, the character that I uploaded. I just want to download this too. And I wonder if it's going to download with the animation attached or not. Let me take off the animation there. Yeah, he seems to be having this animation attached. Let me just take it off over here then. All right, there he is in a T-pose. Now I'm going to download the character that it made. Okay, now for the third part of the tutorial, we're going to take the Amazing Man and all his animations and files and use them in Unity. So here is the folder Amazing Man, and it has the FBX and these two different animated FBXs, the animation information. Then it has the original files that we got from MagicaVoxel. I don't need the zip file. The zip file was just from when I had to upload it to Mixamo. Okay, so I don't need the zip file. I need these files here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add this to my project in my objects folder, and I'm just going to drag and drop Amazing Man in here. There he is with all the files. And one of these is the FBX. Let's see. Yep, here it is. So I'm going to drag and drop the FBX into the scene and just reset the position. Okay, and focus in on him. All right, so we added an animation and stuff. You guys want to see it work? Let's see. I'm going to press play. And nothing happens because it's not that simple. We got a couple of steps more to do. First thing, I just want to focus the camera on this Amazing Man guy. So I'm going to pick the camera and choose Align with View. So that way when I press play, it's more in position. And the next thing I want to do is I want to add a floor just so I have some perspective here. So reset that cube, and I'll say the floor is 10 by 10. And I'll move it down by 1. Good. All right. This is good. This is good. Let me just turn him looking this way. Yeah, forward Z. I'll have it this way. Whatever. Now I'll just reset the camera again to align with view. All right. So I have this guy standing here, and let me pick the man. Okay, there's an animator on here, but it wants a controller. So to add a controller, what I'm going to do is I'll go back to my project window, and here in my Amazing Man folder, I'm just going to right click and create an animation controller. Okay, so I'll call this Amazing Man, should I just put a capital N, controller for his animations. All right, And now I could drag and drop this right on there. And now will it play? Not yet. I know that it will not play yet because well, I have the character in this animator thing. I need to, oops, I spelled that wrong. Just click on it and fix the spelling because I like spelling right. Oops, amazing, not amazing. Amazing. I have to add some animations to the animation controller right here. So I'm going to double click on that and it opens up over here the animator window. And let me just put this up here for a minute because I'm going to drag and drop some of these animations here, like this one, Happy Idle. I'm going to drag and drop it into this window. And let me zoom in so you can see this. What it did was it added, I held down the mouse wheel to move this around, and I could scroll the mouse wheel in and out to zoom. What I did was I added Happy Idle, and it turned orange, and it has a line that goes right to it. So with Happy Idle added to my man, let's see what happens. I have an animation controller with an animation in it. Now will it play an animation? I press play, and it does. It plays the animation, and then it stops. It played it only one time. So let's go to the controller or the animation. Let's go to the animation, and let's look at some of the properties in the inspector window for the animation. And here we could see that there's a thing called loop. I think we're going to use loop. That way the animation plays over and over. Okay, so I click it and I say apply. Now if I press play, let me zoom in a little bit so we can see him better. Game object align with view. And let's see his face from the front. I press play. It's not going to show his face from the front because anyway, here's a scene view. You can see he's doing the animation and he's repeatedly doing the animation. So it's looping. Good. Now we have another animation called the walking one that we have, right? So let me open up the animating controller window and drag another animation into this thing. Here's walking. I'm going to drag and drop walking in here. This one didn't turn orange. That's because only the first animation that you drop in will by default play. Any other animations, they're gray, and you're going to have to set up some instructions on how to make them play. So these lines between the boxes, these are like transitions. So what I could do is I could add a transmission that it plays Happy Idle, and I could right click and say make a transition and click on walking, that it will play walking. All right, and now that I added Happy Idle and walking, let's see what happens. All right, so go to my scene, main camera align with view, and I'm gonna press play, and he does his Happy Idle, and then he walks, and then walking stopped because why, guys? Tell me. Because walking, I have to click the animation for walking and click loop. Okay, and I have to press apply. All right, so now, according to the animator, the game starts, first plays Happy Idle, and then it goes and it plays walking, and walking is in a loop, so you should keep walking. Let's see what happens. Press play. He does the Happy Idle, then he walks, and he keeps on walking. It's a loop. Almost there, guys, almost there, because we're gonna have to add some controls, and we don't want them to always be walking. We want them to walk when we say, let me save the scene 2. So in the animation controller, there's more that we have to do here. Basically, we're gonna be moving, let me zoom in on this because I could barely see it, so you guys probably can't even see it at all. And space out my things properly. On this transition, there are some conditions that we could have. So we want to transition from the idle to the walking when something happens, when a parameter is equal to something. So up here in the, I'm still in my animator window, and here on the parameters, I'm going to add a parameter, and it's going to be a Boolean, and it's going to be, I'm just going to name this Boolean is walking, okay? And when is walking equals true, walking will happen. Then I'm going to add another transition to go back to idle. And when is walking is false, I'm going to go back to idle. So let me pick the first transition. And here now I can add a condition that when walking is true, yes, when walking is true, the transition will happen to walking. And that automatically popped in for me. That's great. Now when walking is, for this transition, it goes back to idle. I have walking is true. I only have one condition to pick from, but I'm going to be when walking is false, it goes back to idle. Okay, I'm going to take this now and I'm going to put it down here because I'm going to do some changing on the fly as the game is playing. So now I'm going to press play, and by default, I guess the guy's idle. And you see this little bar here is showing that the idle animation is playing. But is walking, if I check it, then he starts walking. And then if I uncheck it, then he goes back to happy idle. The only thing, if you didn't notice it, I noticed it, is here's the happy idle, here's the animation playing, and say that happy idle starts playing and I check it, it doesn't start walking until the animation finishes. So I don't want that. I want it to, right when I check it, I want the animation to change. So I'm going to go on the inspector and I'm going to uncheck has exit time on both of these transitions. That way, right when I press check, the animation will change. So there he is, happy idle. It could be anywhere. Like I'm going to wait till it goes to start. I press play, and right away he starts walking. And then I uncheck his walking, and right away he goes to idle. All right, we're pretty much set up with the animation controller and this little parameter to control which animation plays. But we've been doing it manually. We want to do it with a script. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a script, which I already wrote, called, let's make a new one because that one's called Maze Man Controls. We're going to make it called Amazing. Spell this right. Amazing Man Script, which is not there, so it's going to have to be a new script. Create and add Amazing Man Script. Okay, now I'm going to double click on Amazing Man Script and open it up in a Visual Studio. And Amazing Man is basically going to do what I had written the script before, but let's write it together again. Okay, I just like setting these things up like this before I start typing. You don't have to do this. This is just me. I like everything to look the same. All right, so in the Amazing Man, there is this animation controller here. So I'm going to need a pointer to it. So I'm going to make a private animator, animator anim, make a variable for that. And then in start, I'm going to set anim equal to this game object, get component animator. All right. That way you have a reference to the animator controller. And the other thing is the guy's going to be walking around, and we want to say how fast he walks around. So I'm going to make a variable for that. Walk speed. Oops, that's going to be a float. And I'm going to set it equal to 1.5. And then also he's going to turn when he's walking. So I'm going to give another one called turn speed. And I have that equal to 100 degrees at a time. Good. Now we just need to read some input from the user. So I'm going to read some input from the user. I'm going to read float vert, the vertical input, input.get axis vertical. Okay, so input.getAxis vertical, that reads, this is a special word, okay? And the reason it's a special word is because here in the input controller, in the input manager, how do I get to that thing again? Window. How do I get to the input manager? Is it a setting? Edit, project settings, input. And you're gonna see over here, there's one called vertical. See? Name is vertical. And it takes the keyboard and the joystick. So I use that from the input window, vertical. And it takes the keyboard or joystick. Keyboard, AWSD, the arrow keys, or the joystick to get the vertical axis. And the value that comes back from it is a value from -1 to 1. And the value is a float. So we get the vertical, and then I say if math f dot abs, that's the absolute value of vert. So whether it's negative or positive, I'm just going to get the positive value. If the value is not equal to 0.0, so then I know I'm walking. So I'm going to use the anim controller, and I'm going to set that parameter, which is a boolean, set bool is walking, and I'm going to set it to true. Okay, just like we did manually. Then if the vertical axis is 0, like we're not pressing anything to move him, then the anim set bool for is walking is going to be false, and then he'll stop walking. He'll just play the idle animation. Okay, so right here we're controlling the animation. So let me just comment this. This is reading input. This is controlling which animation plays from our animation controller. And now we actually have to move him. We have to move and turn him. So for the turning, we're going to have to get another float from another axis. And I say we get it from the horizontal. Like if you press left or right, that'll be a turn. So input.get axis horizontal. And this also has a value from -1 to 1 continuous. And just so you can see from over here, here's the horizontal one named horizontal. Okay, in the input manager. So now with the horizontal and the vertical, we have two values that we could use. So for the for moving him, I'm going to use this transform dot translate, and I'm not moving him on the X. I'm not moving him on the Y, but I'm going to move him on the Z. And I'm showing you why I'm moving him on the Z, because here in the scene window, let me just pick the man. See these axes? Z is forward, so Z is in front of him. Let me shrink those down so you can see him better. Z is the direction in front of the amazing man, all right? And Y is up, and X, the red, is left and right. So when I say over here that I want to move him when you say to walk, I'm going to do it on the Z axis. Now how much do I do it? I do it by whatever the vert value is times the walk speed. And then I always got to do this, time that delta time. Okay, and that should do his movement. And then for the rotation, this dot transform dot rotate is the command here. And now I'm going to rotate. Let's look again. We want to rotate on the y-axis, so you can turn left and right before he walks. That is going to be on the x-axis is no rotation. On the y-axis is horizontal times turn speed times time delta time. Always do the delta time. 0.0f. Bing, bang, boom. There. That should do it. All right. Here I get a pointer to animation controller. Here I read the input. This controls which animation's playing, and this moves and turns him. So let me save that. And let me go. You guys got a chance to copy this? Let me just bring the window down. You guys got a chance to copy that? Thank you. Now I'm going to go back to Unity. The script's on there, and let me press play. I happen to be using a joystick to control him, so here I press the joystick forward, and I could just turn and press forward at the same time, and there you go. He's doing what we had from the beginning. The only thing is he's floating in the air, isn't he? Right? So let me press stop. Floating in the air. That's pretty easy to solve. First thing I'm going to do is add physics. He needs a collider. So I'm going to add a capsule collider, and you can kind of see it there in this green circles, but it's just not in the right place. So I'm going to shrink down the radius of it to about that, and I'm going to lift up the center of it to about that. It just help me to see it from a different angle. I can move it up a little bit higher, right there. So it's about 0.5, I'd say. There. That's good enough. I mean, his arms are sticking out, but when he was walking, his arms will be inside. So that's my collider to tell when, so I could tell when it's touching the floor. And then I just got to add the rigid body right here, so he actually drops to the floor. Now let me press play. He should actually go down to the floor. Good. See, he's standing. And now if I start walking around, he's walking. Whoop! He fell down. It's okay. We could stop that. Right here on the rigid body, we could say freeze rotation on the X and the Z, so he won't fall down. Now I press play. And he's walking around. Cool. And he shouldn't fall down anymore. And that's how you make a character in MagicaVoxel, make some animations with Mixamo, and then you bring it all in to Unity. There you go.